Interfaith Spiritual Center worldwide, where we do believe there is a power for good in the universe and that we can use it. And that, as we say every Sunday, that we are here by divine appointment, that nothing happens by chance, that we heard the call and we answered. Everyone who's tuning in at this moment, this message is for you. It's a universal Easter message. It's acknowledging that all paths that lead to God are good. It's announcing its presence by means of one another, that everyone and anyone who comes within our energy field is healed and uplifted in our presence. Because we have touched the seamless hem of the garment of truth, and we are transformed by the renewing of our mind. Be not conformed to the things of this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That every day we awaken, it's a new world. It's a brand new canvas. It has never been touched by grief. It has never been offended nor taken offense. It is the energy of the holy I Am presence, Christ consciousness, Buddha nature. It is that energy that lives and moves and has its being at the center of our one glorious, amazing life. This is our Easter story. That yes, we, each and every one of us, we have our experiences. We know what that deep friendship is and to be with loved ones. We know the sting of betrayal. We know the energy of carrying our cross through physical infirmity for some of us, relationships that have moved off the planet, or perhaps we feel that pain of divorce, that every single area of our life as we look, maybe it's in our finances. I know so many that I have counseled that have lost their homes this last couple of years. But the truth is, we carry our home within us. There's a story about a lieutenant that went to tell a family that they couldn't find housing for them. And he was a young officer and he had little children. And so as he sat down for a cup of tea with the family and he was sharing how very sorry he was they were going to have to stay in this little motel a while longer, the little girl, 4-year-old girl, jumped on his lap and she was, being her little playful, elfish self. And he said, "I'm so sorry we don't have a home for you." And she said, "Oh, we have a home. We just don't have a house to put it in." Think about it. Out of the mouths of babes. We have a home. That's the love we share. That's the energy we share. That's the interaction. That's the silliness. That's the serious moments, the sorrowful, the joyous. We have a home. And guess what? We're finding a house to put it in. But we come into this planet, each and every one of us, we come in as pure beings of light. I was seeing a documentary on the Kabbalah. And there is a certain sect that study Kabbalah, and they call it the doctrine of loving kindness that moves through all of the mysticism in Judaism. It is the doctrine of loving kindness. And that everyone that we come in contact with is some part of us. And that they study the letters of the Hebrew alphabet until they have a life, and they embody through the letters the energy of God consciousness. And one of the ancients in the Kabbalah was studying, and he was feeling the oneness and the light. Abulafia was his name. And he got up from his chair and he walked across the room, and the light from the candle that went out followed him all around the room. There is a light that is never extinguished. Rabindranath Tagore said, "Death is not extinguishing the light, it's turning off the lamp, because dawn has come." And when we open to that light and that energy, and we feel that which is within us is greater than that which resides out here, that we give our power to, we give our power away to on so many levels. Every time we react outside of ourselves, every time that we feel the doubtfulness and the little voice, inside of us, we're not good enough, we're not worthy, who do you think you are? All of that is absorbed in the light, and we are the resurrection and the life. We come forth in that recognition. Jesus said, "Destroy this house, and in 3 days I will build it up again, because there is that indestructible part of us that is deathless, it is timeless, it is energy. And when we move off the planet, we take our consciousness with us. I know some of you are hoping for, the Prada outfits and the Gucci shoes and all of that, but we take our consciousness with us. That's it. And all of the other things are fun and they're wonderful and it's great, but we only take our consciousness with us. Choose ye this day whom you will serve. God, the truth, beauty, or the ego. All the stuff that occurs. And we're deluged in the media. So I don't even watch the news. I go online to get my news. And I don't have anyone, telling me about the economy, about this dis-ease on the planet, or what red alert it is. I know that I take myself out of the law of averages and place myself within the law of individual selection. And each and every one of us can lift ourselves out of that. On the way to the women's conference, which I was keynoting at yesterday, Linda and I were discussing quantum physics and how when you embody the energy of quantum physics, you lift yourself out of the condition and you place yourself in that energy field of light. The light penetrates the darkness comprehendeth it not, and shadows flee away forever. Because light absorbs anything unlike itself. And when you walk into a room and you turn on the light, the room, there was the absence of light, but the light is always potential. And turning on the switch. And we can do two things. We can turn on the switch, right? Or we can stick our finger in the plug. Guess which one I'm going to do? Right? We're going to flip on the switch. When we get it, that we can flip the switch inside our consciousness. And that when our sacred mythology, the three were on the cross. And the one thief on the left said, "Save yourself now, King of the Jews." Who do you think you are? You're up here with us. And the one on the right said, "I believe you are the Messiah. Please forgive me." And he said, "Today thou will be with me in paradise." That we arise through the cross. We arise through our daily crucifixions. We arise through the betrayal. And when Jesus looked down and saw the three, Mary, his mother, and John, just 3 out of thousands that were waving palms the week before, throwing them down, throwing the old garments down, what that means is prepare the way for the one. That I'm absolutely letting go of what no longer serves me. One of my very favorite Easter stories is about a little couple in the Midwest who had a child who was born deformed in a twisted body, and his name was Jeremy. And in this little Midwestern school, they had like a lot of children, but he had the mentality of like a 5 or 6-year-old. And he was in with the younger children, and his teacher was Doris Miller, and she would get very exasperated because he'd sit in his chair and he would kind of drool and he'd make grunting noises and sounds. And she just thought, I can't take it anymore, so she called in the parents, the Forresters, and said, Jeremy is such a disruption in class, and I want you to send him to a special school. There are special schools for children like Jeremy. And the wife got out her little hanky and she began to sob in her hanky. And the father spoke and said, for us to take Jeremy, who has a terminal disease, out of the school would devastate him. We don't know how long Jeremy is going to live, but we cannot take him out of the school that he loves and all these children that he's grown to feel friendship with and a kinship with. We just cannot do it. So we beg of you, please, just see him through. So she, felt for them, and the coldness that she was feeling escaped her. And Easter was coming, and she gave a special project to the class. And there was moments when Jeremy, he was clear. There was like a glimmer of light in his eyes, and he was very clear. And then he would kind of go into that recessive look and start drooling and grunting, and, that used to drive her, in that space of exasperation. But she thought, this is going to be a special project. You are all going to bring, and she passed out these wonderful, they're like plastic eggs. And she said, you're all going to take something from nature and something that represents Easter. And you're going to bring it back next week, and we're going to celebrate your eggs. The egg represents new life, new energy. So she kind of thought, well, maybe she should call Jeremy's parents, but he seemed to understand. She went, do you understand? The egg represents Easter, and you're going to do something from nature. And he, shook his head. And then the day came, and all the children brought their eggs, and little Amy raised her hand, and she had like moss in hers and some little flowers, little dandelions, and yes, this represents new life and spring and Easter and energy. And then she got little Randy's, and he had his, and he had like some little acorns in his and some other things from nature, and a little pine cone, and she thought, yes, this is from nature, and she took each one. And then, Jeremy raised his hand and said, you didn't take mine, teacher. And she was sort of dreading, because she just kind of felt, well, he's not going to, he didn't follow the program here, because, she noticed his egg looked the same. So he took it up in his little limp, and she opened it up. And it was empty, and she was very embarrassed, so she closed it again. And he said, oh, no, open. And she said, no, you didn't do the project, Jeremy. And he said, well, when the angel rolled away the tomb was empty. He got it more than she did. And she embraced him and said, oh, Jeremy, thank you. I understand. A week later, Jeremy made his transition and passed. And on his little casket, it was amazing, there were flowers. And 18 of his students had an egg on the casket. And every one of them was empty. Because we are the resurrection and the life. That the tomb of separation, the stone of separation, is rolled away, and we arise triumphant and victorious. That the body that's been maimed and twisted suddenly arises in the energy, and all of us that need to learn those lessons of looking through appearances and conditions, guess what? Those beings, they teach us so much. And they come into the planet for us to see their perfection and see the beauty in the eyes and the recognition that something is there that we are a part of, that we are a part of each other, that any judgment we level is self-judgment. Any criticism we put out there is self-criticism. If we could extend to ourselves the unconditional love that is there, we would truly be the light of the world. And when we recognize that truly, that death is just a moment, it's a recognition that I'm complete here and I am moving on. So when Jesus said, today thou wilt be with me in paradise, he knew it was about consciousness. He knew it was about energy. And when we go about our daily life, which is our temple and our religion, to remember the quickening of the Holy Spirit that is within us, that lifts us through this experience. And as we are lifted through these experiences, we embrace our cherished memories. We embrace the love in our lives that we have shared. That's eternal. That's completely eternal. And that when we think about our loved ones, and we think about those that have been in our lives, that all the things that we have learned, that we have gained, we open a much larger space. He drew a circle that shut me out, but love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. When Abalathia moved around the room and the light followed him, that light was from within, emanating energetically in the energy field. And what quantum physicists are saying now, the esotericists and the great ones and the spiritual ones and the amazing energy that has always been on the planet has always known that. Jesus looked at, 5 fish and 2 loaves, and through the electromagnetic energy fed the multitudes. I did the same with my matzo ball soup this week. I made, it was amazing. I made these 2 great big pots of it for the Seder, and it just kept, we kept giving to everybody. They wanted seconds and thirds, and it seems like I never could get to the bottom of it. I said, and I told Linda, these matzo balls are multiplying themselves, and everyone's saying that they're best I've ever made. Bless my mother's soul, right, all of you that came to me, and we're so grateful. It's energy. It's the energy of light and love and peace and beauty and wisdom. And I'm going to leave you with a story, and it's my favorite Easter story, and about every other year I share it. And it's about the 3 trees. And the 3 trees we were discussing what they wanted to be. And the first tree said, when I am cut down, I want to be a great treasure chest. I want to hold jewels and diamonds and rubies, and I want to be jeweled all the way around myself. I want to emanate the energy of a treasure box, a jewel box that is so precious. And the second tree said, when I'm cut down, I want to be a great ship. I want to sail the seas. I want to take kings and queens across the seas. And the third one said, I want to be the highest tree in the forest. I want to touch the heavens, and everyone who beholds me will look up, and they too will touch the heavens with me as they look up and peer my branches in the green and the emanation of my needles. And many years passed, and finally the woodsman came, and they saw the first tree, and he thought, he kind of quivered, and he thought, I'm going to be made into something wonderful. I'm going to be made into this great, great, wonderful treasure box. And they cut him down, and they made him into a feed box, and he knew it was the end of his dream. The second one they cut down, and they made him into a little, very, very modest fishing boat, and he knew that was the end of his dream. The third one they cut down, and he knew the hopes of touching the heavens and having the admiration of all those that came through the forest. That was the end of his dream. And then one day, a man and a woman came, and they were put in this, really, it was a feed shed for the animals. She was about to give birth, so they grabbed the little feed trough from the first tree. They put in some hay, and they laid the babe into the manger. And he thought, he sensed in the very energy at a DNA cellular level, I am holding a treasure so great. He knew that. Many years passed, and the old fishing boat was out at sea, and one man fell asleep, and a great, great storm occurred, and they awoke the sleeping man. And he got up and he said, peace, be still. And the waves came down, and there was a calm. And this little fishing boat thought, I am carrying a king. And then the third tree was grabbed, and the man carried him through the streets, up a hill, and was nailed to the tree. And the tree thought, everyone is gazing up to heaven. I too am the resurrection and the life. And as the man said, into thy hands I commend my spirit, the energy with the tree ascended with the man. And the moral of this story is, our life may not look the way we thought it was going to turn out, but it always turns out better than we could ever imagine, because with God, all things are possible. God bless you. I love you. And joyous Easter.